Relax, the keyboard is off, the press box is closed, and the mic is just getting warmed up as the Guardian of the Blue Paint is about to enlighten us. The show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. For this week's show, join us as we celebrate the Big 5-0. Welcome to the Hockey Writers, Inc. Join Lance and Steele as we bring you all the latest on the Flyers.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to a very special edition of the Hockey Writers, Inc. Steele, why don't you tell them why it is so special?
Well, that's because this is the countdown to the Big 5-0. That's right, folks. This is the 50th show that you're seeing the great writer extraordinaire as your host, Lance Green, the Guardian of the Blue Paint turned writer, and me, your co-host, Steele Flyers. Oh, my gosh, man, 50 shows.
50.
Wow. I mean, like, did you ever think it would be like that?
I did not think that we would be here for sure. No.
Okay. I mean, look, there's a couple of things that I want to just say because to me, this is a very special kind of achievement, I would think. You know what I mean? To get to 50 shows is pretty, you know, I guess that shows dedication. I mean, we've only missed 2 weeks maybe throughout since the start of last hockey season, right? And we were even a little bit before because we were kind of catching the tail end of the
playoffs or whatever
of the playoffs there and everything in the tail end of the season in the previous year, you know, when the Flyers were in the bubble and all that, and got to do some of that. And the fact that we've only missed that many weeks, I mean, due to Hurricane Ida, where we were both like, I mean, like, who would have thought that inland places such as where we live would be affected by a hurricane? But so much water, so much rain, no electricity, no internet, you know, and oh man, I'll tell you, it was the fact that we're at 50. I mean, I can't believe that we've been through 50 bloody shows. I mean, it's unbelievable and an unexpected ride, my friend. We have grown as friends.
We have, yeah.
We have grown in our profession where we have a great reproach with each other. We have great rapport. We have good back and forth. You know what I mean? You know, I remember I approached you and said, hey, buddy, how'd you like to do a podcast and talk about your articles that you write about the Flyers? And, man, you know, look, big thanks to Jamie for introducing me to you and or vice versa, however that, you know, took place. But Jamie was instrumental in introducing me to you. And he's like, hey, talk to this guy, Lance. He's a good buddy of mine, you know. And I started reading your articles and was like, wow, man, this cat got it going on. I mean, like, he's not afraid to call out coaches, players. I mean, whoa, like, where's this guy coming from? Right. And he's writing all this great stuff about the Flyers, and he's it's a fresh perspective. It's not a rah. It's not a, you know, look, I'm not trying to discount or say anything about that, but there's been a huge trend in this country over the last few years to where true journalism has dropped away. And it's turned into, you know, basically just trying to get people to read or whatever, right?
Clickbait articles, yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to say that, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Okay.
Leave it to me, I guess.
You see what I mean? The guy's, you know, he's shooting it off. There you go. The speaking the truth again. So, but that's kind of why I'm, you know, with this and doing this. And that's why I was like, you know, wow, okay. Guy has a different perspective on things. And so was not really sure what you would think about this stranger coming to you. about doing a podcast? I mean, you had never really been on camera before and really never kind of had done anything like this. And I was kind of still green and just kind of starting out myself. You know what I mean? And it's like, and here we are 50 shows later. I mean, and it just keeps getting better and better. I have a huge props from our friend of the show, Mr. Jim Jackson, who sends his huge congratulations on making it to 50 shows. I mean, freaking Jim Jackson, dude. I mean, are you kidding me?
Great guy. I love Jim. So.
Oh my gosh,
excellent hockey mind, and anytime I love to pick his brain just to see what he has going on up there.
I mean, the voice of the Flyers. There you go. Who 100% loves what we're doing. You know, I mean, when you get that kind of backing about what we're doing here, you know. And then speaking of Jim, and man, we've had him on the show a few times, and those were amazing. Over the course of the 50 shows, we've had some really good guests. Tommy Soderstrom, you know, the goalie from the early 90s from the Flyers. Man, that was a great show. Right. He just had great story after great story. Like, we probably could have just did like a 6-hour show and then just broke it into, 1-hour segments and just, you know what I mean? We probably should have done that maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Plus the fact that we had prospect James Hardy on. Right. I mean, to speak to a player like that was really cool. Oh, and how about the guys from O&B? Right? Well, we didn't have the full team, but we had the great Isaiah and the chef to the left from O&B Podcast. Those guys were on a couple of times. We were able to work out at least getting those two guys on, right? They've been on. I mean, oh my gosh, man. Not to mention that we had the great Pearl of Wisdom on, and John from Off the Wall Hockey was on. Plus, you can't forget to mention the great Bill Meltzer, was able to grace our screen twice. So I mean, we've had a rather nice list of guests over.
I think so.
Shows, yeah. I mean, Lance, I think we're working towards a goal here. Okay, and at some point, I feel that this show will reach that goal, and I don't think we've peaked yet. Okay, my friend, I'm telling you, I think we're just getting started.
I hope so.
Right? So now I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
All right.
That you were not prepared for or waiting or had no idea was coming. Okay? Because this is why this was a special show, because this is our 50th show, and there's a couple of questions that I had for you that I wanted to throw out there at you. So how did you feel about that first time when I asked you about doing the show?
To be honest, I think I was a little reluctant. Talked with the wife about it, and said,
you mean the editor-in-chief, right?
Right. Yeah, basically saying like, can you believe this guy offered me to do a show? I have no clue, or no real knowledge about any of this, and I don't even have the equipment really. So, but of course, her being her, she encouraged me to do it, and here we are now. So.
I believe some other people kind of helped encourage you to do this too a little bit. I believe Bill Meltzer was the one that kind of just kicked you in the keister there and said, hey, man, you should probably get a podcast.
Yeah, I was, had talks with him, and, he asking him basically, what can I do to grow myself and get myself more recognized? And he said, get on as many podcasts as possible, and if you can, get one of your own, and not only get your thoughts read, but heard as well, and seen. So
yeah, see that
kudos to that.
Yeah, right. So that's exactly kind of what's going on. So what made you say yes?
I think mostly just the willingness from my wife to kick me in the keister and say you should do it, and your eagerness to really, promote me and give me a platform. So, thank you for believing in
Okay.
me enough to push forth this show. And, I think we're doing a pretty good job here.
Gosh, I hope so. I mean, it's not like there's a, seeing as how, Steel Flyers is the network, they're not really going to kick us off. Like there's no, like, we can't get fired. Isn't that beautiful, right? Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. But how has the growing popularity of the show been an influence on your writing, if at all?
I always like to hear feedback from the fans, questions or anything like that, and as well with my articles as well. And it's nice to get that sometimes and get some different perspectives on my thoughts or feelings or views
Yeah.
towards what's happening with the team. And I've over the span, I've got some different articles that. Some fans liked, as far as like doing that Tommy Soderstrom one and having him on the show. And then, some fans said that, they loved certain ones like that, or the Zayd Wisdom piece I did some time ago, kind of diving deeper into who they are and who they
Yeah.
were and where they came from and how they came to be. So I've done quite a few of them. I think, where they are now with Darian Hatcher.
That
Some
was a
different
great
articles,
piece.
some
Yeah,
different
Gene, that was a
articles
great
like
piece.
that. Yeah. So, so just try to do some different articles. Like you said, I don't like the whole rah rah, this team is great kind of thing with that everybody seems to put out, or a game recap. I think everybody can kind of watch the game and tell that for themselves in their own minds. But I kind of like diving a little deeper and getting a little more information out to the fans to back my articles up or my thoughts or my feelings. So,
Exactly.
um, I think they're, for the most part, well perceived and for that. So,
I would have to agree. Look, I'm not trying to take anything away from game recaps because I like them. I watch them. I do them sometimes.
right.
You know what I mean? And I like a lot of the some of the other stuff that's out there too, because I like to read the positivity. I like to see that kind of stuff. It's nice to read. You don't always have to hear about, oh, this guy got hurt or this guy this or this guy. You get to hear about the good stuff. So I'm good. I'm good about hearing about the good stuff. You know what I'm saying? But why I felt about the way I did with coming to you and asking you to be on the show was because of your style of writing. I felt matched very much with kind of where I'm coming from as well. And your so this is the next question I want to ask you. So what brought you to be a Flyers fan? How did you
Uh,
become a Flyers fan?
sure. Early as I can go back in memory, my dad was a big influence in that. He's a big sports guy, and growing up, he always had the games on, and of course, during that time in the late '80s, early '90s, when I was getting into the sport, they were, a darn good team and exciting to watch. And, my dad worked overtimes and everything else to take me to as many games as possible. I think we, at one time,
Nice.
during that early '90s, mid '90s stretch, we went to, had a season ticket plan and everything like that.
Oh,
So
wow.
just really grew my love for the sport, and asked my dad if I could really get into playing the sport, and it spawned from there.
Okay, so that's going to spawn us off onto a whole nother different tangent because part of what we do here is, I mean, you are the Guardian of the Blue Paint turned writer, and the Guardian of the Blue Paint means that you played goalie.
I did.
right? And oh, wait. Let me
Still do.
rephrase.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, let me rephrase that. Still playing goals, still suiting up, still putting the pads on. Which, by the way, how did you do the other night?
I did well. We ended up losing. Team didn't score any goals, but I did really well. I hadn't played in a little bit. Being the parent and hauling around kids to everything nowadays. But yeah, it was nice. Played well for knocking off the rust and eager to get back out there soon.
All right. Well, there you go. Okay. So at least you were able to knock off some rust and, make some saves and everything. And right. So it felt
Yeah, for
good,
sure.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Good, man. See, that's awesome. And you're coaching now too, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been able to get out there and give back and help the youth get into the sport, and mainly a goalie coach, helping out some of the guys from mites all the way up to midgets, and also get out there and help the defense a little bit too as well.
There you go. That's awesome, man. You kind of come full circle a little bit where you played for a number of years and then now you're able to kind of give back a little bit and teach the young players how to do it right, and
Right.
how to play the game correctly. You know what I mean? And so it's tough to come by. You know what I mean? People that are that genuine to want to help other people to achieve their goals by doing things the right way. You know what I mean? And so,
Right.
so that's yeah, man, I like that. That's cool. And do you feel that, like, are you able to get the full experience by writing about something and then having a platform to talk about it, to talk about the feedback that you get about your articles, right? So like you now have a platform to not only go over and talk about your articles and to give reasonings behind why you're writing them, but now you have a platform to answer the feedback.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of articles, sometimes people don't like certain things, but that I write or don't want to believe certain things, where even though I press, a lot of evidence and thought behind it, but some of those even coming to light recently. But I respect everybody's opinion, and I love to hear what people think. And this platform here gives me a chance, after I'm done writing the article and after I've gotten some feedback from those, to kind of go back and explain further different parts or ways I was thinking or reasons behind it, because maybe I didn't get to do it so much or touch on that particular point in the article. As you know, some of my articles tend to be a little lengthy in nature anyway. So I don't want to full on go into graphic novels or War and Peace type pieces, but
I got you.
yeah.
But still, though, I mean, it kind of still gives you another outlet to talk about and engage with the fans. That they read your articles and then they listen to the show and then you talk about what their feedback is, because they comment and they let you know. They post things on Twitter. There's social media out there all over the place. You know what I mean? And so there's no shortage of people's opinions. And
Sure.
and here's the really amazing thing too, is that nowadays, right, when people walk around with this, bloody supercomputer in their pocket and instant information, and they're able to just access, information right away.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not, fans have become a lot more educated. Fans have become a lot more knowledgeable about what's going on with teams now, because they can just click on things and there's articles and videos right there at their fingertips. I mean, we're trying to be part of that conglomerate of information that people can click on to look and say, hey, here's about the Flyers. Here's an in-depth, truthful vision of what's going on with the Flyers. You know,
Right.
at least your article opinion and my opinion as far as commentary.
Sure. Yeah, I when I'm writing, I kind of like to find a problem or issue with the team and solve it. I'm that nature in what I do at work and everything like that, and it comes across a lot in my articles. Um, I want to see the Flyers succeed. I want to see them get better.
Oh yeah.
And if I can kind of point out something or you know suggest somebody or another player or whatever the case may be that might help them, you know, reach that next level,
Yeah.
then you know that's what I kind of like to write as well. Anybody, like I said, can write a game cap review and say, hey, this person scored, this person scored, this person got a penalty, but you know I kind of like to try to use my brain to think a little bit more in depth there, some issues.
Exactly. And see, that was another reason why I came to you and asked you about creating a platform for you because like I said, I'm not trying to take away from there, and there's some really great writers out there that cover the Flyers and do a really great job. And I'm not taking away from anything from what they're doing. Okay, I'm really not. You know what I'm saying? But I have to say that when it comes to you and your style, it's completely different from anybody else that I read or that I follow or that I pay attention to. Okay. And I have a much greater appreciation for your style of writing because I watch, listen, and read other people. You know what I mean? And so I try not to be influenced by them because I try to read things with an open mind. But reading your articles has really allowed me to see a much deeper version of the Flyers.
Well, I'm glad. That's what I go for. I don't want to be like everybody else. If you can tell from my articles, you know, I want to have my own style, and I think I've accomplished that.
Yeah.
And you know, some people you know love it, and then some people maybe not so much. But you know, to each their own. And I'm out here to you know give knowledge to others who may not you know have an open mind or be thinking about a certain thing involving the team, and you know it seems to work for me. So
I'm glad it does, and I'm really liking the end result because the articles that you write are insightful and exactly with what you said. I like the fact that you can write an article and maybe have some negativity in there, but then offer some positivity or offer a way to make a bad situation better.
mhm.
You know what I mean? Like there's always a solution, there's always an answer, there's always a different road to go down. You know what I'm saying? And you explore those different roads, right? And so that's why it was very fortuitous that I was able to hook up with you and be able to collaborate on the Hockey Writers Inc. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with such a professional who I've watched grow as a really really well thought out commentator who is not afraid to sit down and strap the boots on and stand behind what you write, feel, and think. Okay, so big props and big kudos to you, man. Thanks for that, bro.
I
That
appreciate it.
is the Hockey Writers Inc. salute to the big Lance Green.
All right, I appreciate it.
You know what I mean? So, one last question, and then we're going to get into your articles here, and we're going to start talking about the Flyers. Where or what would you like to see this show doing or become in, say, the next 6 months to a year? Like, where do you see the Hockey Writers Inc., say, in 6 months or a year?
It's hard to tell. I think we're growing leaps and bounds as much as we can at this time, and I think that we will keep pressing on. And I want to see some different people come on with us that maybe we haven't had on before, and add some new insightful guests and surprises on. I want to see maybe some more questions from the fans themselves if they see fit. And I know we have some swag coming out, so I would like to see that get out there. Maybe some people can wear some of the swag and get our name out there to help grow the show even more. So.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I just wanted to know what your thoughts were, where you felt things were going to try to go. You know what I mean? Just wanted to see where you kind of was thinking. Do you think you got another 50 more in you?
Sure. I think so.
I got you.
I'm up for it. All right.
Right.
We'll start next week on the second half of
That's right.
Yeah.
Second half of the anyway. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you say we start talking about some Flyers?
Yeah, let's go do it.
Let's talk about some Flyers. So posted just today. I mean, it's still dripping, still wet. Onto FlyersNittyGritty.com. Your latest article is all about the goalie coach. And at what point are the Flyers going to place goalie coach Kim Dillenbaugh on the hot seat? And, after I read this article, I was like, gosh, man, now that you mention it, you know what I mean? Like, all right, okay, that point, yep, all right. So I can see why you have questions about this coach, right? And after all this time and carousel of goalies that the Flyers have had over the last couple of years, right? What is it about Coach Kim that has you putting him on the hot seat, as it were?
Right. Well, with the team winning 6-1, it's easy to overlook that right now. But my biggest thing is, since Hextall brought him in back, when he first came here from he brought him with him from LA.
Mm-hmm.
It's been consistency and the building of and development of some young goaltenders that the Flyers had over the years, or lack thereof in this case. Everybody knows that back in 2016, Ron Hextall, the last great Flyers goaltender in my mind, drafted Carter Hart, who was supposed to be the next great Flyers franchise goaltender. And through that time, Carter, just being 23 years old now, has quite a few seasons in NHL now, but leaves a lot to be desired still. He played great against the Kraken, but that first game was not so great. And we can all look back to last season where he struggled a lot. And he was 45th in the league last season in wins, only totaling 9 wins on the season. The Flyers brought him in, re-signed him basically, and gave him a good chunk of money to be that guy moving forward. But last season wasn't his best, and he was out of the top 50 even in goals against average and save percentage last year as well. So you got to think the league only has 32 teams now, 30, yeah. So that means a mess of backup goalies had better numbers than he did even. So this is a problem. Of course, the defense was a huge issue last season, but this year, both Hart and Jones have no real reason to complain because, as far as I see it, the Flyers 1 through 7 or 8 guys on defense with
Yeah.
Nick Seeler and Moran when he gets back healthy are phenomenal talents and improvements over last season. Of course, you have the great Ryan Ellis that came in with the trade with Nashville. You had Ristolainen come in who playing tonight, and Keith Yandel as well. So really upgrading that defense. But again, it's my issue with where Hart is, where he has the ability and potential to be much higher than he was or is now. I think all fans would think that he is a phenomenal talent, but at this point, you know, he was influential in a way when he came into the league, and he had a sports psychologist, and he seemed like a 10-year pro from year one. So my question is, he obviously has a talent. He obviously had the wherewithal to go that extra mile and have all this extra help as far as, a psychologist goes and all that. Why hasn't he progressed to be that top 10, goalie, top 5 goalie in the league? When I think the majority of the league is surely lacking those type players. There's no Patrick Waz, there's no Dominic Hasek, there's no Ed Belfours anymore. You had your Vasilevskis and after that it's a pretty big drop off. So it's there, the opportunity is there, but above all else, Dylan Ball has not been able to really help progress any of the other goaltenders in the system as well.
That's true, yeah.
Since 2015, the Flyers have been trying to find this Carter Hart or the next Ron Hextall, if you will. And previous to that, for the past 15 to 20 years before that, since Hextall retired in the late 90s, early 2000s, they've been trying to do it before that and been unsuccessful. So, you look back with Felix Sandstrom, Ivan Fedotov, Carter Hart, Justin Mikko, Urson, now Kozlov being drafted last year, and of course Roddy Ross, who was drafted and has already been kicked to the curb because of his lack in development. There's just a lot of names out there that are just sitting in the system and not progressing. And, up to this point this season, a lot of them didn't even have any time in the AHL besides Carter Hart. So my question is, when is enough enough? The Flyers like to think of Coach Kim as this great goaltending coach, but I think when you look back at some of the greats that have been around, he doesn't compare to a Mitch Korn, who developed Grant Fuhrer and Hasek and Pekka Rinne, Braden Holtby, Robin Lehner, and is currently working with Sorkin of the Islanders. And he doesn't compare to Francis Allery, the pioneer of the butterfly position in my mind, where he developed Patrick Waugh, Roberto Luongo, Jonas Hiller, and Varlamov. So he's not in that realm. He's not really progressing Hart to the point where I think, Hart can be anywhere from when it's all said and done, a 350 to a 400 win goaltender. I think he is that good, but he's not going to reach his true potential with Coach Kim there. I don't think he's yet to really stabilize him and make him consistent game in and game out, like the great goaltenders of this league are, like his, person that he followed when he was a kid, Carey Price, is on any given night.
Yeah. I see what you're saying now. So it's kind of like, well, what have you done for me lately? Because he comes over with a lot of history, from the LA Kings.
2 Stanley Cups, yeah.
And let's face it, quick, pretty good goaltender, right? So
Martin Jones was there, yeah.
Okay, so Hmm. See, that's kind of the little hidden gem there that Martin Jones was part of that LA Kings thing. That's where that little connection is here with Dylan Ball. But you know, it's because of what you pointed out in the article that makes me scratch my head and go, wow. You know, he's been here this long. So he was here the whole time when the Flyers had that carousel of goaltenders where we had a record breaking 8 starting goaltenders, different 8 different starting goaltenders, right? So he was the goalie coach at that point. So he's been through Berube, Hackstall, and now AV, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, you got to think that the Hextall, was developing or trying to develop Alex Lyon as well, and that was a failed experiment. At that point, he was a AHL guy, and he came out of college and everybody thought he was going to be really, really good, and he couldn't progress past the AHL, and that's kind of just where we've been. He had 4 or 5 years here to work with Coach Kim, and he did nothing with it. So,
and that's still considered a weak point for the Flyers. I mean, it's like the old adage when you don't change anything, and yet you keep expecting a different result when you keep doing the same thing, but you don't change anything. Well, I think there's a change that needs to happen here in some way, shape, form, or something. Because, look, if you strip away all of the distractions and everything else, deep down, we really feel that Carter Hart has the potential, as what you said, 340 to 400 wins as a professional hockey goalie, right? Now, that's a pretty nice that's 30 40 wins a season win average for the next 10 years, buddy. And so I'll take that all day long. You know what I mean? So so if we take all that away and we feel that Carter Hart does have that potential, then what's the deal?
I don't know. Carter obviously struggled and last season, and he fired his longtime sports psychologist and close friend at that point.
Yeah.
And has really struggled to really get it on his own and look sharp through preseason, but still shown that through that first game that he's not, maybe not ready to take that full on, step. Hopefully, he's more like this season, like he played, against the Kraken. But time will tell. Time will tell what he's going to be, what he turns out to be. He's right now, I think the hockeywriters.com had him listed as, I think, the 26th best starting goalie
coming into this season.
So
that's pretty low.
That's pretty low. That bar is set pretty low, and I think he does have
nowhere to go but up.
Right, he has that potential to really best that for sure. But will he be able to do it, and will he be able to stay consistent all year long?
Well, that's going to be the key, because as Carter Hart goes, so go the Flyers. And if Carter Hart struggles in any way, shape, or form, and if Martin Jones is not able to pick up the slack, then it's going to be a long road. It's going to be a long season.
I think as well. I think Dylan Ball had a lot to do with Jones coming in. I think he wanted a second chance to work with him, and he still believed in him, even though he struggled in San Jose the past couple of years. So I think, Chuck brought him in, and basically this may be a prove it type deal with
I mean, he only signed for
for
1 year.
Coach Dillenbaum.
Yeah.
So, if you say, hey, you want this guy, then I'll give you that guy, but you better make him produce.
All right. Well, now that kind of, because you already allude to that in the article. You know what I mean? And so if the wheels fall off and things go bad,
Mm-hmm.
does that mean that he goes as well, the coach? Or I mean, because it's easier to fire a coach than it is to release a guy who you just signed, to a multi-year contract in Carter Hart, and Martin Jones only has a 1-year deal anyway, so that's no real skin off of the nose of the Flyers if they can't re-sign Jones next year. You know what I'm saying? So what's the end game here? I mean,
The end game would be, if this doesn't work out this year, I think that Dylan Ball needs to be shown the door. They obviously shuffled quite a few coaches around that maybe didn't work on the NHL level, but with Ian LaPerriere. But hopefully he's already showing a presence in the AHL and trying to rein in his kids down there, even benching Morgan Frost among others, for play that he deemed not up to par. So I think that's exactly what they needed down there. So kudos to AV and Chuck to give him that opportunity and place him in that position to really work with the youth. But I think Coach Kim could be looking at for a new job after the season if he doesn't get these two goalies to really nail it this season, because like we've already said in past shows, Chuck's went out and spent first round picks to get the type of players to bring in this year
defense and everything.
on
Yeah.
defense and everything. So, and he's traded a lot of young talent to be able to go get that top pairing right-hand shot defender that they needed, and so many other aspects that came to the team, and trading Voracek for Cam Atkinson, and it seems to be working right now. But I believe you said it last week and weeks prior. I think it's up to the goalies and obviously the goaltending coach to really bring it home this season with everything that they did.
Yeah. I mean, there's more pressure, I think, on Carter Hart this year than there ever has been because of what happened last year and how things ended with that whole situation. And then with bringing in Martin Jones and being, having history with Coach Jellenball, and then, pairing with Carter Hart, not being that much older than Carter Hart, but still have been in the league enough to maybe potentially be somewhat of a mentor for Carter Hart, because I think that's kind of, everybody looks at that and goes, oh yeah, mentor, and he asked for Brian Elliott to stay so that he could kind of help mentor him, but look, I'm going to tell you something. How old is Carter Hart now? He's 23.
23.
Right. Are we about time now where, we don't need to necessarily consider a mentor for him?
I would think so. With him signing that new deal, he's officially not a rookie anymore. He's not on a rookie deal. He's getting paid more money than the majority of goaltenders in the league. Although not as extravagant as maybe Bobrovsky's deal in Florida, but
I don't think Philadelphia has the cap space for that.
They don't. But he is getting paid significantly more than he did, and he's now expected to prove himself. And obviously, the Flyers, like most fans, still have some trust in him, and he's got to prove it now. So,
Well, not only does he have to prove it now, but so does Martin Jones, has to prove it, and so does Coach Kim Dillenbaugh. And thank you very much, Lance, for writing this article and helping to point out that it's not just about the goalies themselves. You have to look at the coaching, and you have to look at the approach of how these guys are being taken care of, or how they're being coached, or what's going on with where they are when they're off the ice. Because I think that's a huge key in the success of goaltenders as the goalie coach. If you don't have a goalie coach who can't recognize your weaknesses, and then I think having the practice time to work some of those kinks out is going to be a major factor this year, which they didn't have last year.
For sure.
So I'm with you on this. It's what have you done for me lately? And if you ain't doing anything for me now, then maybe it's time for us to part company.
Right. Like I said in the article, do I think it's time to hand him his pink slip tomorrow? No. But he should be placed on the hot seat and let it be known that, hey, you need to start producing or getting these guys to produce, or, you're going to be on your way out of here. And some guys react well under that pressure and some crumble. But
right. I'm with you. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Because if it's sometimes people just need that fire lit under their tuchus. You know what I mean? So now if he is not going to be the answer, do you got any ideas as to maybe who the Flyers could bring in?
Well, there is some names out there and some others that have taken more of a back seat. And in that aspect, the guy I talked about earlier, Francis Alir, he is with Florida, I believe, as a consultant at this point.
Okay.
Now with I think Roberto Luongo is down there as far as a goaltending coach as well. So
I think so too.
That could be a name to be brought in and maybe offered a shot again to help another great young goaltender and develop one more before he's in my mind, either one of those guys in Korn or Alir should be considered for Hall of Fame type worthiness to be inducted there for the work they've done in the league. But there's also some other newer guys out there. Goalie coaches move around a little bit, so we shall see. Vancouver's got a pretty good one right now. Most people think so. There's always going to be new names out there, and if the Flyers are still looking, I'm available. Just putting it out there.
Hey man, because the Chuck listens to the show, right?
Right.
Okay, all right. All right. Well, I want to get into your in the last little bit here. I want to get into your the last article that you did, and this was posted a few days back on FlyersNittyGritty.com. And this latest article here was Flyers prospects who are already off to an amazing start. And I have to tell you, man, quite a few of the players that you mentioned in this article, which we're going to get into here in just a second, have been quite surprising, I must say. I mean, we have been overly critical, I think, at times of some of the Hextall picks.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I think some of that is deserving because they haven't played, they haven't shown. I mean, let's face it, Isaac Radcliffe and German Rubasov and the list goes on of guys that just either need to go or aren't part of the team anymore, or whatever the case is. So in this article, the list of players that you talk about of players that are doing well as far as the prospects for the Flyers, why don't you tell us about some of those players from this article?
Sure. In this article, I tried to point out some of the smaller known or lesser known prospects or forgotten about prospects at this time that are really stepping their games up. And just no particular order here. A guy we've talked about so often in Ivan Fedorov, goaltender that the Flyers drafted in 2015 in the 7th round, who is still yet to be on to sign to an entry-level contract, has been absolutely lights out in the KHL again this year. Currently, he's played in 11 games, 7 of which he has won. He has a 1.80 goals against average right now, with a .939 save percentage, with a shutout to his credit.
Man, I'm sorry, Lance. Look, I'm sorry, but look, every time we talk about this guy, I just bang my head against the microphone because, like, look at the numbers this guy is putting up, and why is he still playing over there?
Year in and year out. Yeah, year in and year out. He's played over in the KHL for multiple seasons. But I believe he's perfectly fine over there because he sees the logjam of goalies that we've already talked about that are signed and over here already, and he just rather stay in the second best league in the world instead of playing in the ECHL
Getting paid better too.
Right, getting paid better and all that. So the Flyers have to entice him and show that they're willing to utilize him in a role that is best for his career moving forward. And until they do that, I don't think he is going to sign. So and the guy's 6'8".
Or unless there's a clear path for him to be on the ice. Because let's face it, if right now the Flyers are looking at Carter Hart as the franchise goalie, they're not going to bring in another guy who's going. I mean, I would bring him in here in a second and challenge Carter Hart and have those two guys duke it out.
Seemed to work for Vegas. Seemed to work for Montreal. New York's got 2 pretty good ones, both teams, the Islanders and the Rangers.
2 pretty good goalies.
Right.
Washington has 2 pretty good. Look, like I said, competition breeds better.
Columbus, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you put these two alpha males in the same cage and just let them go at it. I mean, that's kind of what I would like to see, and that each one of those guys makes each one better.
Yep.
You know.
So to go along with them, another one of Chuck's picks, Connor McLennan, who we've talked about before, is having a pretty good season. He was the 2020 6th round pick, still yet to be signed by the Flyers, but he plays for the Winnipeg Ice of the WHL right now, and they're an exciting team to watch. If you can catch one of their games, please do. They have some really good players that are already drafted and a lot more that are going to be drafted in the first round this upcoming season.
Yeah.
So in 7 games, he already has 6 goals for the Ice, 5 assists for 11 points, where he is a +9 on the season. Wow. Connor has an amazing shot, and he's known as a finisher, something that the Flyers desperately need, and, went out and had to go get Cam Atkinson to fill that role because they didn't have it within their system already signed.
Hello. Exactly. You know what I mean? That makes sense. That makes sense. I'm with you on that. So what kind of impact do you think some of these players are going to have more of an impact now or down the road?
I think as early as next season, some of these guys could come in. You saw AV's willingness to insert Farabee at a young age. You saw, what Wade Allison was able to do. You saw Jackson Cates come in. You saw Tanner Lazinski come in at some points last season. And if a player is really going to prove themselves that they're ready to, take it to the next level and work in order to achieve that goal, then he's going to reward them. And, I think some of these guys are going to do that. And another one is Bryce Brzezinski. Like I said, maybe not as well-known name, but in 2019 he was drafted in the 7th round. And in 4 games, he already has 6 points for the University of Minnesota. A great winger who shows some great talents blossoming there in Minnesota, and exciting player to watch.
University of Minnesota, that ain't no joke up there. That's a good hockey town and good hockey team up there, especially college, and you know what I mean. That's a good college hockey team there up there. You know what I mean?
For sure. And we can touch on just 1 or 2 more here. A guy that the Flyers brought into camp this season, who, if you weren't closely following it, you wouldn't even realize, but they actually signed him off just bringing him into camp, and that was John Randall Avon. And he currently plays for the Peterborough Petes of the OHL. He has some good teammates there as well, but he's making a name for himself as well. He's through 5 games played, has 5 points, but I still think he needs to work a little bit more on the defensive side of his game. He's a -8 right now, and that's a little worrisome.
Yeah.
But
okay.
The kid is young, and he's obviously caught somebody's attention, and we shall see where that goes. But as far as the guy that I am really interested to see play some more games is Tumala, that is with now the Phantoms, and he was drafted this past offseason in the 2nd round, the Flyers' first pick from this last upcoming draft, or this last draft. And, many thought that he would go back to Finland maybe and play in the Liga. But he wanted to stick around, and I believe the team wanted to stick around too.
He played well enough to stick around.
Yeah. His even his preseason, when he was sent down to Lehigh Valley, he had an amazing preseason as well, where in the article you can watch as he completely takes the puck from behind the goal, pretty much of his own goal, and skates by every single person on the ice in the opposite sweater,
coast to coast,
and finishes. And that again is something that the Flyers have lacked.
Gosh, there's that word again. Finishes.
Yeah. So he's going to be an exciting one to watch. He's still going to get used to this North American ice, I believe, but he is got a wicked shot as well as just some boosters on his skates, I believe, and he's got some players to play with down in the Phantom, so it should be interesting. If you don't get a chance to go see some Flyer games because maybe the tickets are a little too pricey, drive up on to Lehigh and see some of these kids. They're just going to be a phenomenal team.
Yeah, for sure. Or catch an AHL game period anywhere. Yep. Just because it's a great family night out. It's not really expensive. You know what I mean? You can go to some pretty good stadiums. Close to where I'm at is where the Hershey Bears play. They play at the Giant Center, so that's a pretty nice little stadium. Tickets are not terribly expensive. You know what I mean? It's a nice night out for the family. You know what I mean? So go out and see an AHL game, especially go see those Phantoms for sure. Well, listen, my man, I'll tell you what. I really think that there's the plethora of draft picks and prospects that Fletcher has brought in. I think you're starting to see them overtake the ones that Hextall brought in. I mean, look, I'm not taking anything away from him at all, because let's face it, he basically restocked the shelves of an empty cupboard when he got here to Philadelphia, because we had nothing.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. And our farm system was one of the worst in the league. We didn't value developing talent, and now we've seen that it works. Obviously with Carter Hart and Sanheim's there. Farabee is looking like a phenomenal talent. He's just growing with each and
Oscar
every game.
Lindblom,
Yep, yep. So all those guys are growing still, but definitely Chuck's draft picks have been proving to develop much faster. Guys are ready a lot quicker
sooner, yeah.
And already where, say, some of the leftover ones, like you were mentioning, Ratcliffe and Morgan Frost, among others, are still just treading water in the AHL. Certain ones like Forrester and Wisdom before he got injured, and now Tumala have met them very quickly on the same playing field. So kudos to Chuck and his drafts, his ability to draft guys late in the draft as well, 5th, 6th, 7th round guys that are still having potential to break, the professional levels. That's kind of unheard of, few and far between, if you will. So kudos to him.
Exactly. Well, man, I'll tell you what. I think we did pretty good for this being the 50th show. What do you think?
I'm ready to tackle the next 50 shows, and thank you guys for all your support. Yes. And we wouldn't be here without you. So, I appreciate it, guys. I really do. Can't say it enough. And I promise to keep plugging along and trying to give you some great articles and content here to stand around the water tower at work and talk about.
There you go. I mean, that's kind of what, thank you, Lance, for saying yes and for being part of this. You know what I mean? I would also like to say a big salute to FlyersNittyGritty.com and Jamie Baskow for helping to post our show and get us out there. We get to go out on Bleacher Reports because he posts our show on the Flyers Nitty Gritty site. So big props and thank you. And that's the Hockey Writers Inc. salute for that. So thank you very much for that. Lance, tell the folks where we can get your articles and how we can follow you on Twitter, my man.
Sure. As always, my stuff's always posted to Flyers Nitty Gritty, Steel Flyers as well. And, Bleacher Report is often picking up all our latest stuff as well. So thank you to them. And you can catch me on Twitter and give me a follow if you would want on LNGBASS, the number 39.
There you go, man. And trust me, you guys really, if you're a Flyers fan, you really need to be checking out Lance and his articles. You really need to be following him. His articles will be insightful. They will definitely give you something to think about for sure. If you're as passionate about this team as we are, you will definitely enjoy reading these articles. So you got to check them out for sure. You can follow me on Twitter at SteelFlyers52. You can check me and Lance out on all of our shows at SteelFlyers.com/link/the Hockey Writers Inc., part of the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. So check us out and join us over there. Please hit the like and subscribe. Thank you all very much for watching. Hopefully we can do another 50 more shows for you folks, and we will catch you all on the next show of the Hockey Writers Inc. Thank you.
Thank you.